Our guest today on CivilNet is Yavuz Baidar, columnist for today's Zaman, longtime media professional, and friend of Hrant Dink. We'll start with this. We looked at pictures yesterday from March through Istanbul, and we're impressed by the number of people who were there. Reports had it around 40,000. That's interesting considering the verdict that came out 2 days before, more or less acquitting all the accused co-conspirators in the case. I'd like to start with this question. If Tuesday didn't happen, how many people would have been there yesterday?
Less people because of the trial was a shock for many people, and the verdict came as a sort of trauma, another trauma. Second, there will be less people because of the conditions of the weather. It was very cold, unusually cold in Istanbul, so it would be perhaps say 10,000, maybe 15,000, as it has been in the past years. But this has again become bigger because the verdict has created shockwaves.
Hearing that the weather was cold makes the visuals we saw yesterday even that much more impressive. Someone once commented on our airwaves, you wonder if the people who made this decision had access to a calendar, calling it almost stupidity to do this 2 days before the 5-year anniversary. What would you say to that?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a judicial mess. There are many factors in this. Incompetence of the judicial figures is one. Second, hastiness of the judge. He wanted to finish the trial as soon as possible because one of the key suspects, Yasin Hayal, is speculated to be released if not the verdict had been issued yesterday or on Tuesday. So also that one. There was very many elements involved in this thing, but the end result was, of course, sort of a judicial farce, which again, once more reminded people how injustices just keep on coming at whoever it is. Hrant Dink case being just one of them. But what made Hrant Dink case so spectacular, so outstanding from the others, was the character and nature of the case, of the murder, assassination, its symbolic, its timing, etc. Certainly, this was a trial where all the attention was pointed at, and that's why a lot of work is now done by the media, also by the judicial experts, academia, on the sort of farcity of the case, the verdict and its presence situation now.
Sure. In your column, you used the word farce, so we will get to your column and some of the stuff going forward in a second. I want to ask you one more question about the march. Something we're always curious about here in Armenia is the demographic, if you will, of the people who are in those marches. So can you kind of let us know, is that Turkish people of Armenian descent? Is it media professionals? Who is in these marches?
Mainly youth, I would say, younger people, but also Istanbul's active intellectual elite, a mixture of elite and so to speak, ordinary citizens of Istanbul. But also there were people coming from outside, from the vicinity, from the neighboring provinces like Izmit, Tekirdağ, Bursa, etc. So I would say it's a sort of a reformist blend of people who felt both emotional and also sort of saw it as a mission to drive the country further into democratization.
Mostly of Armenian descent or not of Armenian descent?
Students are pretty many among them. Artists, academia figures, but also people from various professions, and that's a pretty equal mixture of males and females. If that's what you are wondering about, the demographics of it, it's pretty characteristic in such political manifestations.
But the one part you didn't answer in that, is that mostly of Armenian descent or is it not of Armenian descent?
Oh yes, no, it's not mostly of Armenian descent. I would say, just guessing, I would say 80+% of them are non-Armenians.
Very interesting. Okay, we're going to talk about what happens next. I want to read an excerpt from your column. You said, this was in reference actually to Wednesday's march, I believe, or Tuesday nights, not Thursdays, but you said the crowd was overwhelmed by profound gloom. Was it a breaking point where the hopes for better days for reconciliation between Turks, Armenians, and Kurds started to fade? If the rage replaced the expectations and silent disappointment after the trial's farce-like verdict, it certainly felt so, and the people chanted, "The real trial starts now." So what does the real trial starts now mean, and what's the future?
Certainly, the verdict did not satisfy a single conscience, a single person. Everybody is infuriated. Everybody more or less familiar with this case is angry, is disappointed with the way the AKP rule has been progressing, because Dink case was part of a key case, a test, if you will, litmus test for the democratization. The real trial, if you will, has taken place in the hearts and minds of the people who followed it. And this has certainly not ended, because it was widely perceived as another assassination, an assassination by justice this time. Not only assassination of Hrant Dink himself, but also an, if you will, symbolic assassination of the rest of the Dink family and his dear friends, people who regard him as their brother. So this verdict has, instead of closing the wound, healing the wound, it has opened the wound wider. That's what is meant by the real trial starts now, because these people will not let it go away. These people who have taken to the streets, and many more others throughout the country, mainly in the cities, following this case, feeling pain in their conscience, will pursue this further until justice is done, until the dark, shadowy figures, rogue elements of the deep state, the dark core of the bandits placed in the mechanisms of the state will be chased and found, and justice will be done as soon as people feel that now we know who really were behind this assassination. So this is what is meant by the real trial has started now, because also the sensation or the feeling that the reform process is irreversible, and as long as the reform process is felt irreversible, this trial will go on until the very end.
Then let's finish with this, sticking with exactly what you were saying and then adding in another sentence that's been said before, which is, when will the state be held accountable? Explain to me what specifically needs to happen, specific in this case, where you can finally say, okay, the state was held accountable and things turned out the way they should have, justice prevailed, if you will.
Look, the people in Armenia should make it very clear that there is a fight going on also within the judiciary. There are now very many decent and brave prosecutors and judges who want to pursue such politically loaded cases. So what will happen, what is expected to happen, is that the prosecutors, because there are several of them who have been expressing their disappointment as well with the end verdict. In a very strange way, it has aligned the lawyers of the Dink family with the prosecutors on the same trench, if you will.
And even the judge of the presiding court?
They will continue to pursue this case. And now, today, the chief prosecutor of Istanbul has also come out and said that we believe 100% that this was a terror organization behind, which has connections and links with the Ergenekon network, and we will take it to the higher court, and we will chase it further. So even on their side, there is now refreshed will to take it further. So what will happen is that this case will, on one hand, fortified with further evidence by these prosecutors, which will keep asking the government and administration to put those responsible, those suspected to be responsible, into spotlight. Second, there are several cases going on. For example, the murder trial of the missionaries in Malatya, and also there's another Cage trial, so-called Cage coup plan trial, and all these trials have linkages to the Hrant Dink case. We believe, as journalists and also many people in the bar associations. So this will go further, and also President Gül ordered the so-called State Inspection Council to take the case and scrutinize it independently, which is also happening, which is underway. So these parallel developments will be taking place, and in the end, our hope is that there will be enough evidence so that Dink trial, as much as Malatya missionary murder trial, will be encompassed by the Ergenekon trial, will be linked directly to the Ergenekon trial, because many of the figures that we see as suspects in Ergenekon trial are in the same picture behind the murder of the Dink, the Dink and the Malatya case. So this is our hope, that this will be a case that will involve all those figures that we suspect, the society suspects, are behind the Ergenekon network.
Thank you, Yavuz Baydar, for joining us. It's great to hear that this is potentially moving forward. Of course, Tuesday didn't go the way everybody wanted, but as long as there continues to be a crowd, perhaps this can move in the right direction. And the other thing I wanted to say to you specifically is that the coverage given by the media over these 5 years has been very instrumental, and we thank you for that. So thank you.